Hi, we are back with another episode of Fiction Fellowship. Today I'm going to do two book reviews by the same author, Liv Constantine. Liv Constantine is a pen name of two sisters who write books, and they write thriller books. The first book that I had ever read of theirs was The Senator's Wife, and I was really impressed with that book. I read it a few years ago, and I was new to Liv Constantine, never read any of their books, and I read it, and it was so good, a very good thriller. And the ending was so surprising. As soon as I got to the ending and the surprise hit, I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe they thought of that. I never in a million years did I think that was going to happen in the story. So then I was excited about reading two of their other books, and so I checked out two of the books. A Stranger in the Mirror is the first one that I read. And in that story, Addison is engaged to Gabriel, and she has no memory 2 years prior to her life. So she was walking down a highway, and she had no idea what had just happened. Her clothes were torn, she was like bloody, and she was hitchhiking. And so this guy picked her up and he said, "Do you need some help?" And so she said yes. And he asked her what her name was. She had no idea who she was, didn't know her name, didn't know where she came from, didn't know how old she was, nothing. And so him and his wife took Addison in, and they felt really bad for her, but they said that she was a really sweet person, so they decided to ask her if she wanted to stay with them. So she did. And so she had lived with them for about 2 years, and then she got engaged to Gabriel, and they started a life together. And Gabriel's family loves Addison, but her mom is a little hesitant and a little suspicious because she thinks, okay, we are a very wealthy family, and this girl Addison, she has no background. She doesn't know anything about herself, what her real name is. She doesn't know anything about her parents, nothing. And Gabriel's mom is thinking, I wonder if she is just in this relationship because we are coming from a wealthy family, and she wants to get in on that. So she has her suspicions, and so she hires a detective to try to get in on Addison's background to see if she can find out anything. And so the detective starts to do some research, and he's not really finding anything on Addison's background about who she is. So meanwhile, the story talks about a guy named Julian, and he lives in Boston, and he is trying to find out what happened to his wife, Cassandra. She just disappeared, and he has no idea what happened to her. She just up and left, just disappeared out of nowhere. And so for 2 years, he's been trying to find her. He's been trying to look everywhere, and nothing. But he keeps feeling like in his heart that she's going to come back. And so one day he goes to Philadelphia for work, and he passes by this art gallery, and he sees this big poster, and it's Cassandra. And he's like, well, wait a minute, this is my wife. Why is she on a poster in an art gallery in Philadelphia? And so he looks and reads the poster, and she is a photographer. And so she has her art being shown at the gallery coming up. And he's like, okay, I'm going to go to this art gallery at this time and day, and I'm going to see if this is really my wife, Cassandra. And so he goes there, and he sees her, and right away he knows it's her. And this Cassandra is Addison, the same person that we've been talking about in the story. So he shows Cassandra the pictures on his phone saying that you're my wife. You've been missing for 2 years. You have a child. And Addison is like, I don't know who you are. Those pictures do look like me, but I don't remember you at all. I don't remember that I was ever married or had any children. So, she doesn't know what's going on. She's very confused. So finally, Julian shows Addison / Cassandra that Addison is really Cassandra. That's the name she was born with. And so he shows her like their marriage certificate, her birth certificate, everything to prove that her real name is Cassandra. And so Cassandra, she moves back in with Julian, and she meets her daughter, Valentina. And so she still can't remember things that are happening. And so she goes to get hypnosis to see if maybe some of her memories will start coming back. And she starts to feel really weird, like in the head. She feels like she's forgetting things, that things that are normal to her seem abnormal now. And so she's starting to feel really weird, and she's thinking that somebody might have done something to her. And so I'm going to stop there. So you'll have to read the book to see what happens, the shocking truth about Cassandra and what happens in her life. And so this book was real. I would say I would rate it about 3 out of 5 stars. I expected it to be a little bit more thriller because her other book was, but it was a good book. It was a good read. And it's more of like a psychological thriller, more than like an action-packed type of thriller. So that was the first book. And then the second book I read, so this one is called The Wife Stalker. And Piper is from San Diego, and she moves to Connecticut to try to get away from her old life and to start anew. And she also changes her name, and she starts working at this recovery center where they have yoga and therapy and all of that. And she meets this man, Leo, who is a new client, and she is instantly attracted to him, even though she sees the ring on his finger that says that he's married. But she doesn't really care. And she wants to just spend as much time with him as possible and get to know him and everything. Well, Leo is married to a woman named Joanna, and Joanna and Leo are kind of having some marital problems. He's been depressed lately, and she's been trying to help him, but he doesn't really want to ask, anybody else for help. He just wants to try to figure things out on his own. Well, they have their annual holiday party at their house, and Leo invites Piper. And Joanna doesn't know anything about Piper. And so she sees Leo talking to this gorgeous blonde, and she's like, who in the world is this? I have no idea who this woman is, and she's talking to my husband. So of course, alarm bells, start popping up in her head, because she feels threatened because this Piper is just drop dead gorgeous. And so she feels very insecure. And so she walks up to Leo and, introduces herself to Piper. And she realizes by the way that they were talking that they had started to be friends, and this isn't the first time they met and all that. Joanna becomes very suspicious of Piper, and she wants to do like a background check on her to see what kind of dirt she can find on Piper, because she just gets this vibe that, okay, Piper is not what she says she is. So she starts to look up things, and she can't really find anything really, but she said she's not going to give up. Well, one day Leo and Joanna were at their house, and Joanna's mother called and said that she had fell, and she was in the hospital, and so Joanna went to go see her. And Joanna realized that her mom needed help, so she said she was going to stay with her for a little while at her house until she got back on her feet. Well, while Joanna was at her mom's house, she looks outside and she sees these moving people bringing all of her belongings in boxes, like she had moved into that house. And she calls Leo and she's like, why are all of my belongings in boxes being delivered to my mom's house? And he kind of ends their marriage right there on the phone. And he's like, we're done. You're not going to be able to come back to the house anymore. Our marriage is done. And she's like, huh? She's like, what the heck? And she says, you're doing this to me over the phone? You're just kicking me out for no reason? And so it was just like all of a sudden, this just happened. And so she was very, very upset. Well, shortly after that, Piper moves in with Leo and the kids. And she doesn't have any children, and so she doesn't have very much experience being around children. And so she kind of has like a short fuse around them. And the two kids hate Piper. They keep crying, saying they want their mom back. They want their mom back. But they told the kids that Joanna was dead and that she was in heaven and was never coming back. So they lied about that. And the kids are just distraught. They keep saying, I want my mom, I want my mom. And then Piper's fuse is getting shorter and shorter. She's like ready to kill the kids because they're annoying her so much. And so then Joanna is still trying to find out what is going on with Piper's previous history. And so she finds out on the internet that Piper was married twice, and both of the husbands were killed. And she's like, okay, this isn't a coincidence. She probably murdered her husband, and she's going to murder Leo or the kids. And so she's terrified. So she starts frantically trying to do anything she can to get Piper out of the house. So then the book just talks about, all the things that Piper is doing in the family to the kids and that she doesn't like them. And then Joanna's trying to find out exactly what happened with Piper's previous life, and she's trying to ruin her life. And then towards the end, I would say about 3 or 4 chapters towards the end to the end of the book, the thrill finally happens. I had been waiting the whole book, okay, when's the thrill coming? When's like the good stuff happening, the exciting stuff. And it just came towards the end of the book, and I'm like, seriously? And when it said what happened and what the surprise was, I felt like a total letdown. And I would give the book about 2 out of 5 stars. I was so disappointed because I had loved her first book, The Senator's Wife, and so I was excited about these other 2. But then this last one, I was like, oh, I was so disappointed. But if you want to give Liv Constantine a try, they do have some other books that I haven't read yet, so maybe those are a little bit better. But those are the new thriller books that I had read, and I'm not sure what I'm going to read next. There's just so many. My list is so long of books I want to read. But I just wanted to give my review of those 2 books. And if you want to like and comment and let me know what books you're reading so that I can add some more to my list, that would be great. And I hope you have a great day, and we will see you next time. Thanks.